One thing every village and town across the country have in common is their sign. Normally found on the village green or by a main road, it gives you a little snapshot into the history of the settlement, normally about how it got its name or its founding, from the sites of battles to royal decrees. But there is one that stands in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, a relatively new sign, erected in 1977. Standing below the outline of the village church is the silhouette of two children, with little to indicate this village was the site of one of the most peculiar stories from medieval England, which still incites curiosities and theories to this day. The tale goes that during the 12th century, sometime during the reign of King Stephen, the villagers would discover two children, a brother and a sister, alone by a wolf pit, a hole dug in the ground and baited with some kind of meat to trap and aid in the killing of wolves to keep them away from farms and villages. This would also be where the village had gained its name, wool becoming a degradation of the word wolf, meaning pit for trapping wolves. The children spoke an unknown language, wore clothes of a kind never seen before by the villagers, and were most strangely green. The children were taken to a local nobleman, Richard de Caen, who was just as baffled as everyone else. The pair refused to eat any food for a number of days, until they found some raw broad beans, and this would become the only food they would eat for a while. Now taken in and being raised by the villagers, they would slowly adapt to regular food, as well as start to lose their green colour. Sadly, the boy, who was believed to be the younger of the two, fell sick and died shortly after both the children were baptized. As the lone girl grew, she would come to learn English and was given the name Agnes. She would tell that she and her brother had come from a place called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never shone and everyone was green. They had been out herding their father's cattle when some had run into a nearby cave. Going in after them, they soon got lost. They heard the sound of church bells and decided to follow it. This was the last thing she remembered before being found near the wolf pit. Agnes would remain as a servant girl to Richard de Caen for a number of years, before marrying a man and moving to King's Lynn in North Norfolk, and then subsequently vanishing from history. The story is certainly an interesting bit of local folklore, and has been passed down through the centuries, as well as being the inspiration for the novel The Green Child from 1934. Today, the story is brought up most often in connection with a few theories, one of them being that of the Hollow Earth, with the idea of there being a civilization or civilizations below the Earth's crust, and these two children simply found a cave or some kind of entrance connecting the surface to the inner world, hence why they had never seen the sun before. Another theory is that of multiple realities colliding, with these children simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or finding a portal that brought them into our world with no way back. As the longer they stayed, they lost their green skin as the timeline fixed itself. Another theory that has also floated around, the explanation of the green skin, is that the children were in fact aliens who had been sent to Earth or were somehow left behind accidentally by their people. More skeptical communities have also sought out answers for the basis of this story and have come up with some other interesting ideas. Researcher John Clark, in his work Small Vulnerable ETs, The Green Children of Woolpit, believes that one possibility is that this tale is based off nothing more than some adaptation of the fairies in the woods types of tales that were very popular at the time. Another theory that is popular about these children is that, much like the fairy stories idea, this was never based off any real event, and is more of a metaphor of the differences between indigenous Britons and the Anglo-Saxons and the Normans who had conquered their lands, and how, over time, they all began to lose their differences and become one, at least on the surface. A far more grounded explanation, and a theory that I believe holds the most water, is that the children were in fact Flemish immigrants, something that is entirely possible as many had come to England during the 12th century. In fact, less than 10 miles away from Woolpit lies the village of Fornham St. Martin, St. Martin's Land. At this time, there was a sizable population of Flemish immigrants, and it is not far from the realms of possibility that two children could get lost while looking after their family's cattle and walk the distance over a period of hours or days to be found by the wolf pits. Only able to speak Flemish, a Dutch dialect, they would be totally incomprehensible to the English villagers, as well as traditional Flemish clothes looking truly bizarre to them. This may solve two of the mysteries about the children, but there are still the larger ones left, those being the strange eating habits and, of course, the green skin. Both of these can be answered with the possibility of sickness. Once again, John Clark, in his work Small Vulnerable ETs, The Green Children of Woolpit, come up with the hypothesis that the children could have been suffering from hypochromonic anemia, an illness which is often brought on by dietary deficiency, something these children clearly suffered from. It is also known commonly as green sickness, and in some cases tinges the skin a green colour. The illness is known to pass as diet improves, and the skin colour soon returns to normal, much as it did over time with the children. There is no perfect answer to this tale, as its story has long overtaken any facts, making it almost impossible to discover the full truth, with some people from Woolpit today claiming to know descendants from the surviving child. Things such as, if these children really were Flemish, why did Richard de Clane not at least have any idea where they were from by their clothes or language? He was reportedly an educated man. Why did no one from Farnham St Martin come looking for them? 10 miles is no great distance at all, even then. But like so many tales of the past, things have simply been lost to time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. This was The Green Children of Woolpit, and although a legend, this is a little bit of history.